Hey, what's up, guys? Eric here, and today we're going to be looking at an interesting German and Russian cooperation. Now, normally Germany and Russia have a difficulty cooperating, especially in the mid-game. Of course, in the early game, in Scandinavia, there can be something of a detente there. There's better things to do for both Germany and Russia, Russia in the south, Germany in the west. However, I'm curious if Russia and Germany, under certain scoring systems, may find a way to work together into the mid game and maybe even into the end game, which we normally would not expect. So, under certain scoring systems and situations, perhaps in a tournament or in a club game where you find yourself wanting to work with either the German or the Russian, since maybe another player on the board is competing with you for tournament points and you want to hold them back, you may want to find ways to work together. So this is an attempt to look at that from a strategic perspective. So let's just open up with a variety of normal moves for many of these powers. I like this version of the Anschluss from the German. It puts the army in Munich. Let's imagine the English plays a pretty normal opening here. Maybe Paris to Burgundy supported from Marseille to be safe from the French perspective. Maybe we play a pretty normal opening here as well. Let's for the sake of interest, play like so from Turkey, making the attack, at least putting the army in Armenia to allow them to think about it. I actually even lately have considered this move of holding. Actually, I'm going to play this and I'm going to retreat to Smyrna in the fall. Retreat, I mean pull back to allow a build in Khan. But we won't go into that. We're talking about the German and the Russian today, guys. So what happens next? Let's play a few more normal moves. Now this is what commonly happens in a game is there's a bounce here, or Denmark doesn't bounce and lets Russia in, and I think this is what I want to explore in this game. Now, if there's there's something like this. Now, the idea that I want to explore really is related to this Russian fleet. So this Russian fleet is a pain in the neck from Germany's point of view. It's annoying. It's just sitting behind there. It can always go to the Baltic. Even once it comes into Sweden, say in fall of 01, even if we're playing Mr. Nice Guy and we're letting Sweden in and hoping that Russia takes that and builds in the south, even if we have a really good relationship, things can just go south because this fleet can always just come to the Baltic, and now it's touching 3 of my centers. So the idea here from a strategic perspective is to find a way to get this Russian fleet out of here and working against England as quickly as possible. Now, if Germany and Russia have a lot of trust, they can do this. It takes a lot of trust. And honestly, England, if he's not suspecting, can't do much to defend against this fleet getting out there. So I think this is probably a pretty normal way, but we'll talk about a couple of other options as well. Actually, for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and do something like so. Let's convoy this in. And let's just go ahead and take here. I mean, I guess we have to take Richard Sharp would be disappointed that I wasn't able to take South Coast with the fleet. I have to do it the other way around, but maybe something like this, like this. Italy doesn't go for, maybe Italy just goes for this delayed Tyrolean attack. He wants to see what Serbia did, and maybe it's some kind of, see, in this situation, with this Bulgarian unit free, it can attempt to bounce here, and this will work pretty well. This is going to support Greece in like so. Does everyone have moves? I think so. So let's continue. Remember, our goal is to get this Russian fleet into the western waters, as they say. So we have some options here. I want to put a fleet down here. Italy wants a fleet in Naples. They could really go for an attack on Austria with Army Rome, although it wouldn't achieve much given the way they started this game, and Austria's coming down with 2 armies anyway. So Russia doesn't get that build there, but he can build his army in Moscow or his army in St. Pete. We can even go for a fleet here on the north coast as well. So a couple things to consider there as we play this opening. Let's play an army and a fleet, army, and carry on. I think everyone has their builds. We do. Moving on into spring. So here is where things could get interesting. How, as Russia, can we defend? Can we defend against something like this? Convoy and moving to Barents, the attack. It's with this army up here, it's probably not going to be so good from England. He probably needs to come up with a better plan than this. Probably needs to come up with a better plan. We still have Belgium open. He's got a second fleet here. So long as Germany and France don't work together, he could get into the channel simply enough. But what's really going to happen here? What is the follow up here? I think that's going to depend on a few things. Let's go ahead. Just put some standard moves on the board. We're not too concerned with the Balkans in the case here, but let's just put some pressure on the Russian anyway, just to see how this looks. Are Austria and Turkey working together? We don't know. Maybe he goes ahead and bounces there. But notice that Bulgaria would have been open, but maybe Austria offers some support here. He'd be happy to see Serbia open up. Maybe he backfills and supports himself in case there's an attack. He is going to have to give up Galicia in this case, though. So England is unlikely to try this, as we just discussed. So England may want to improve his position, for instance, in Skagerrak. And this is what will possibly prevent this from working, of getting this fleet from Russia out of Scandinavia. Now, what we can do is cut the support and play like so. That will gain Skagerrak. So Norway's support is getting cut from the Russian army. Maybe Germany is swinging something like this and even putting the fleet in Helgoland. How does France want to play this? I mean, it really depends on if there's collaboration occurring here. This kind of thing would certainly delay that chain move bouncing the English Channel as well. But from the Russian-German perspective here, suddenly this Russian fleet is now in the Skagerrak, and there's 1, 2, 3 Russian/German fleets on the North Sea. There's 3 English fleets as well, but suddenly the North Sea is under pressure. What are the weaknesses here of this? Let's have a look, because we're going to see that Sweden, even if this moveset was taken, we're going to see that Sweden would be open. And so the question would be, how do you defend against that? And I think we do have some concrete options. Let's go ahead and see if Italy gets in there. It doesn't look like he will. So in this variation, we do get the fleet in, but now it's the question of what to do in Sweden. And from here, we can gamble. We can just try to put the fleet in, and it actually will succeed. You'll see that France could provide 2 supports himself. So pardon moi. If France just supports from all angles, part of my misclicking, support in position, support to hold, support to hold. it keeps okay, here we go. And probably North Sea needs to support Norway as well. This support cut from St. Pete with 2 supports of this move from Den and Helgoland will put the Russian fleet in the North Sea. Now, what is the plan from here? This is going to depend on many, many, many things, but we've succeeded in removing the we've succeeded in taking the North Sea now, and removing this fleet from Gulf of Bothnia, and from possibly moving in the Baltic at one point. So, is this a viable opening tactically? I think I've shown that it's quite strong. It's not a guarantee in any stretch, but it certainly is very viable so long as Germany can pick up one build and get a fleet build. And in this example, we've put 1 additional unit in the north from Russia's perspective. Can Russia afford that? Would certainly be a question as well. So it's going to depend on whether Russia has things taken care of in the south. If they don't, as we're seeing in this case here, there is a serious possibility of coming under attack from, for example, an AT alliance. So something to consider, but now this northern region is quite secure. Of course, Sweden is open, but we can imagine ways of defending that ourselves. It looks like we can take Norway in 03 if we want, but we also can look at possible convoys of German armies onto the English home front. There's a lot of different ways to go from here, and that's going to depend a lot on the situation on the board and how the players are reacting to this clear German-Russian cooperation. So let me know what you thought about that, and let me know if you go ahead and sandbox this and look at some other variations, because I'm really interested strategically of locking up the corner for Germany and Russia, even though in many mid games Russia and Germany simply can't work together if they want to get a big game. But under certain circumstances, this could be viable. I'm curious to see what you think, so do let me know in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the little bell if you want to be subscribed. I'm going to be putting out videos probably every week and probably multiple times per week, and I really want to bring value and help the diplomacy community grow even more strong. So I'll see you soon. This has been Eric for the Diplomacy, Tactics, and Strategy Sandbox. I'll see you soon.